That roll sheet's making it around yet? All right, so Monday we got a good test, right? So let's do a review. Let's do this review. We'll see if you have any final quiz questions. Now this quiz and all is tonight, right? Cool. Okay. All right, let's look at this first. What do we got here? So if we review oxidation reduction, which is what we kind of left off with. So let's see what we've got here. It's not obvious that we have oxidation reduction. If we look down here, there's two of them here that are obviously oxidation reduction as we're sitting here with zinc by itself here, oxygen by itself here, copper by itself. We know B and D, just looking at them, are oxidation reduction. The oxidation state is going to change from reactant to product side. Up here, it's going to take a little bit more looking here. So let's figure this out. Hopefully you can do some mental math on this. What is the charge of nitrogen? Because these two oxides are going to give you -4, right? -4 and a -1 left over. We're looking at a +3 nitrogen here. And then the big one's going to be probably, well, let's go over here to this nitrogen. This is going to give you -6 with a -1 left over. There we go, +5. So the nitrogen is going from +3 to +5. So we know right away, since we did that one, we might as well put it in, and that is becoming more positive. So that is our oxidation. And if that's our oxidation, NO3 minus then is our reducing agent. Now let's see what this hydrogen seems to be a +1 and a +1. Let's see what this chromium is doing. So the chromium right here, this is going to give us -14 for 7 of them, right? And we're going to be left with a -2 because of this 2 minus. And if we're going to be at -2 right here, we're looking at a +12, right? And a +12 with 2 chromium is going to be a +6. So we've got a +6 here, we've got a +3 over here. So it looks like that is our reduction. And then our Cr2O7 is going to be our oxidizing agent. I'll put oxidizing agent here. So that's a little bit of review of oxidation reduction. So down below, and let's see what we can figure out down here. So we definitely have, what type of reaction do we have here? We got decomposition, right? Is it oxidation reduction? Well, let's figure it out quick. What is the charge of calcium? Always, always, always. +2, oxide -2. +2 here. -2 on the oxide. What is the charge of carbon? +4 there, right? +4. And over here, if this is -2, that's a +4 carbon. So decomposition is not oxidation reduction. This one right here, for sure, is oxidation reduction. And this is single replacement. So what happens here is zinc replaces copper. So the copper is kicked out by itself and the zinc takes the place of copper. So the zinc is now with the sulfate. That is single replacement, right? So we have single replacement there. And sulfur is the one to worry about. It doesn't look like there's much change here. -2 on the oxides. Zinc's always +2. Gives us a sulfur of 6, huh? 6 on this sulfur. This would be -8 +2. We've got a +6 on this sulfur. And it looks to be the same over here, -2 +6 and +2. And this is single replacement and it is oxidation reduction. Redox for sure. Letter C will be the next lab. Lab 5 is you're going to be making some precipitates and writing out net ionic, complete ionic, and all that stuff. This is aqueous. It's a nitrate. This is aqueous. Starts with sodium. Over here, this is your grid table you're going to have available for you on a test, right? It's going to say chlorides are soluble. If it's group 1, potassium, lithium, sodium, rubidium, cesium. So this is going to be the exception for chlorides. So this is a precipitate. This for sure is soluble. And this is also double replacement, right? We're just going to switch those positives. So this is a precipitate reaction, double replacement. Your book uses the term metathesis. Double replacement describes it much better. And down here, what do we have? We sure have oxidation reduction, right? Because let's see what we get here. 0 here for the oxide, and -2 there. -2 +2 then on this carbon. This carbon over here is a +4. So my reduction is oxygen going from 0 to -2. There's my reduction. And my oxidation becoming more positive is my carbon. Not too bad. Okay. All right, so that's a little review, pretty much of what we did last time we met on Wednesday. Let's see, is there any final? I haven't looked to see how many have submitted this. I think all the answers in there are correct and everything. I do make mistakes, of course, and some of these I am putting some of these in for the very first time. But is there any final questions on this? Let's see this out. Looks good. Okay.